I'm ready to slash and burn.
Jason and I were really good buddies from college, and
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another recap episode of Outside of the Box. And I am excited for a number of reasons. Obviously, excited for Zach and Diana here from Team Skorpios for the wonderful episode last week. And speaking of episodes, this happens to be my 25th episode, which is a milestone and very fitting to have Zach and Diana back on, since they were the very first ones on my show in the very beginning. So welcome back.
Congratulations.
Thank you, and congrats to you.
Thank you.
I'm excited to talk about this. As we know, it is not very common in the history of bounty hunters, champions, whatever you want to call it, for the gatekeeper to defend their bounty. So this is exciting.
We're the third robot to ever win our own medallion. So Tombstone and Witch Doctor both won their medallions in season 1, and now we are the third bot to ever win it and have brought home our very own medallion. We can set it right next to the Ice Wave one.
Woo!
Yeah.
That is exciting. Now I'm curious, because obviously before things, finished out, you were able to see the field of robots that you potentially would be going up against. What were your thoughts about that field of 8, before anything actually happened?
We saw Bloodsport and just went, oh, we don't want that.
Of course he's the one who makes it to the end. Of course.
Zach had reservations about the potential of Blacksmith making it to us. I, however, really wanted to fight Blacksmith. I thought that would be a real spectacular fight. So basically, once we got our bracket, we did this. We went down the list of the robots and said, ooh, oh, ooh, oh. So there were a few in there that we saw that we knew would be tougher for us if they made it to us than others. And there were some that I wanted that Zach didn't want, and some that Zach wanted that I didn't want. So it was fun. It was a fun night of going, and sitting in the couch once our robots were done, and like going, my guy won. He's one step closer to us.
That is too funny.
I wanted Kraken.
Yeah.
But I knew his horizontal armor got destroyed in the main season, and he had 2 horizontals in his corner of the bracket. And so I was like, yay, Matt! Oh, Matt, no! And it was really sad to hear he's going to retire, our good old Crusher.
But he is bringing something back, so we'll have to wait with bated breath on what that's going to look like, because I'm very excited. It's going to be something amazing, because
the Siren Song, it'll have an anchor for a spinner.
Ooh.
I have no idea. I'm making this up.
I have asked him, and he is playing it very close to the chest right now. He is not giving anything away, so we are literally guessing at this point.
Tentacle robot.
Ooh.
The real Kraken. It lives underneath the kill sauce and draws you onto the deck. No, anyone.
He could go on. He could go on.
This is why they don't let me do the interviews anymore.
I don't know. I might because I recently, just last night talked to the judges and was just theorizing about different weapon types and stuff, and I told them I want a harpoon. Maybe Matt could build something with a harpoon. Like, it goes with the whole pirate theme, so
that would be amazing. Matt, harpoon next season. Please.
I want one of those, and obviously, like, your bot is named Skorpios, but I want one of those, like, Mortal Kombat Scorpion, like get over here type of deals with the harpoon. That's what I want.
Oh man, if Matt does implement the harpoon and then we get to fight Matt, oh my gosh, the Mortal Kombat jokes can finally happen.
I want this.
Yes.
I still wanted them to put Sub-Zero in our bracket just so we could scream Mortal Kombat.
Get over it.
Fatality.
Finish him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much material. So much material.
I can't believe it still hasn't happened. There's so much to use there. But
yeah, we'll see. Yep. Now this bracket kicked off with Big Dill versus Bloodsport, which I'm going to play a little bit of botception here. Because Big Dill came into that fight with wedges from free shipping. And in the prior episode, free shipping beat Ice Wave, who you beat in the bounty to get into this position in the first place.
Like 20 ways to Kevin Bacon.
Something like that.
So that's just where my mind went when they mentioned the wedges from free shipping. But
that's
yeah,
what I really love about the free shipping team is that like Gary, they're just always. One of the things I love about everybody in the pits is we're all just willing to help each other out. And like Gary, during one of our fights at Robo Games, we lost our spinner on Sirloin, and he let us use some of his wedges from Original Sin so that we could do our next match. So
yeah, we duct taped the frame back together and put the wedges on a pole that was ratchet strapped to the frame. And it won 2 matches like that. And I'm sure people were like, the hunk of junk duct taped together beat me? But that's just how good a free shipping wedge is.
Yeah. So anyway, when we heard that Gary helped them put those little doorstop, I can't remember how Peter described them, but when we saw those little stops for Bloodsport's weapon, we knew they were going to be good. And I think I feel really bad for E-Man. That was
a tough match.
That was a tough match, but
yeah.
He held out as good as he could. So
he has another match that is absolutely incredible, and I hope it doesn't become supporter only. But him and Overhaul have a thing. They announced it. I just want everyone to know it's good.
They did.
Yes,
so
they did.
It's not a secret.
It's not a secret. Tell the people. I mean,
yes.
Better than the finals.
So, okay.
How often does someone weld a folding chair to their robot and beat someone to death with it? Awesome.
That doesn't happen.
I feel really bad for Spicy Meatball.
Oh yeah.
Like poor Spicy Meatball getting hurled right into the screw.
I was like, that bounced so weirdly because he goes flying super fast, ricochets off the screws, and then just somehow the magnets instantly click it to the floor and it loses all of its momentum.
Yeah.
And it's like, that was the oddest trajectory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did feel bad. I mean, Big Dill was already stuck and being counted out, and Bloodsport just kind of hunted Spicy Meatball down and yeeted it across the arena.
Yeah. I mean, it was...
Since I gave Kraken a bunch of ideas, I want to tell you what the next Food Fighter robot from the Food Fight team should be. They need to make our mini-bot peanut butter and jelly, but huge. So 2 wedges, each with 2 wheels, and they should have little vertical saws on the back. But then, for the ultimate move for peanut butter and jelly, 2 like Gemini style 50-50 multi-bots, they need to be able to click together to form the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which will then be a 4-wheel vert. And then whenever they need to, they separate to the extra chunky warrior and the slippery slope of jelly. Food fight.
I'm down. I'm down.
Yep. Yep.
And we will finally have robot combining in battle bots.
Yep.
Sorry, I put a lot of thought into that.
Clearly.
It's
It's
Transformers,
Yeah.
all right, next one.
So the next fight was Deadlift versus Blacksmith. Interesting grappler versus the power hammer. Obviously, Al was very aggressive from the start of that match. And I know that at one point, John Remar was, looking at counting out Deadlift because they weren't moving very well, but he said that he would keep it going as long as Blacksmith continued to engage, which of course they're going to, because that is what Al does. I don't think that he would ever just sit back and wait around. So I fully expected him to continue to engage, which is what happened. Like Deadlift really didn't have much of a chance to do anything there.
I think it also made for a better fight. I love when teams will re-engage with each other as long as like the other team. Yeah. And like, I feel like in this instance, it really made a better fight because you got to see Deadlift's fire. You got to see Blacksmith's fire. You got to see Deadlift survive 3 minutes with Blacksmith. I mean, yes, he took damage early on, but his robot was still moving. So like, props to Deadlift. Not everybody does that. So I thought it was a good match. I'm glad Al did what Al does and kept engaging because I think we all won more for it.
Fire! Two robots with good flamethrowers. It was awesome.
Yes, it was a very relentless match, which is kind of in a lot of ways the opposite of the next match, which was Switchback versus Lucky. Matt Olson is a very good driver, and they were going up against a very interesting weapon on Switchback. I don't think that it was necessarily like Lucky's fault. I don't think that they would have thought that hit would have put them out, because even from watching it on TV, it didn't look like this giant hit that would disable a robot. It just must have kind of hit in the wrong spot, and at that point they just couldn't move, and that was it.
I think what ended up happening, I don't know for sure, but I think that hit actually compressed the wheel guard into the shaft of the motor, which then forced the shaft back into the casing of the motor, which is never good for the motor, which is probably why he stalled. Yeah. So that's probably why after that hit, we saw him kind of crawl and then start smoking.
And that white smoke is usually the mag motor's brushes going up.
Yeah. So
white puffy smoke is usually LiPo batteries, but this was kind of white, more
billowy smoke,
which is usually motor smoke. Sorry, I've seen both frequently.
Yes. So I am very impressed with Switchback's weapon. I love that robot. Like it's unique. It's amazing for a team's first build. I am very impressed with the reliability they've had with it.
They just put out a great video of the building it from start to scratch.
Yeah.
And you can really tell their shop is professional, their team is professional, they divide everything really well, and they have a lot of experience from first, and it clearly shows.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Lucky because they looked really good this season, and we actually saw them in the test box before this fight, and they were amazing. There was a tire in the test box that they were just juggling all around like a rag doll. They looked really good, and I was really excited to see what they would be able to do in the arena. And sometimes it's just that one unlucky hit for you that that finishes it faster than you want it to. But it was a good fight, a good show for Switchback. So
Yeah. Shows promise for the future. Definitely.
exactly.
Yeah. Now the next match, of course, was the one that was the very heartbreaking one. It was so many mixed feelings for me with the Blade versus Kraken match, because it was probably my favorite match of the night, just in terms of the back and forth and the intensity. I mean, like, it was just awesome. And then to have like this awesome match that I knew Kraken was going to lose because of the damage. But then, you know, Matt getting really emotional, and I think my boyfriend and I were both like sitting next to each other, looking at each other like, I'm not crying, you're crying. And it was just, you know, like, even though I knew that it was coming, to, at least to some extent, because I had interviewed him before and I knew that they at least weren't bringing that version of Kraken back for next season, but still to like hear it in the moment and hear the emotion was like,
No, I completely agree. So we were all provided TVs in the pits so that we could watch the fights. But our TV, because of the static in the pit area, never had any audio. So we could watch what was happening, but like, we had no audio. So we didn't know what Matt was saying during his interview. We saw them hug each other, but you know, we had no idea like what was happening before the hug. So the second I heard Matt get choked up during his interview a couple nights ago, I lost it. I was done. I was ugly crying for the next, like, I had to pause the show so I could like clean myself up, basically, because I couldn't. It's
all true.
And you know, I love that team. I adore that team. I love what they bring to the arena. And I know they're bringing something else back, but I have adored Kraken since the first time I saw it in 2018. And that robot is just, it doesn't die. It's such a unique, like, mix of being a creative build that also is effective. And he just got a real bad draw this year. And that's no disrespect to Blade. I was ecstatic to see Blade perform as well as he did in this match. I was really happy that Chong Yu got his gremlins, the clutch he needed, so his gremlins were all worked out, and it was such an amazing show to be able to see Blade, like the Blade we all in the pits knew existed, to finally, like, and you could tell they were happy about it too, like, to fly all that way and to finally get that kind of a fight had to be a moment of pride for them. And I was happy for them while simultaneously feeling really bad for the Kraken team, because I know they were sad to get yet another horizontal. But we love both teams, and that was a hard match for us to watch because we wanted both teams to move forward, and we knew only one team could move forward. So, sorry, I took over that.
Yeah, you covered it all.
Okay. I was very emotionally invested in that fight the night it happened too. Like, I stopped working on Skorpios because I said, Zach, either way, one of our friends is making it closer to us and one of our friends is getting bumped out of this tournament. We need to watch like the full scope of this fight. And I'm glad we did. So.
Yeah.
I'm a little person. I just blurt my emotions at people.
It's hard when it's, you know, I mean, like, I've loved Kraken since the beginning too, and it's a hard thing to, like, you know, where you want that robot to keep going forever, but you know, I also understand. I mean, I constantly talk about evolution on my show, and that, like, you have to, because the sport evolves, you have to evolve, and if it's not working and your goal is to be competitive, then you have, like, there's certain things that you just have to do.
Yeah. So we agree. That's why you've been seeing so many random wedge configurations from Skorpios, is people have started figuring out the fork configuration to stop our standard wedge. So we have to evolve our wedge to be able to out fork the other forks. And we're getting closer. We haven't gotten there yet, but we're getting closer. So we'll see.
Yeah. So even though I'm sure that the actual like doing the matches was not in this order, we immediately saw Blade in the next match against Bloodsport. And you know, that was interesting for me. 2 horizontals. It was a perfect like again with the whole where Mortal Kombat would be a perfect thing for Farouk. In this match, it was a perfect setup for him to mention the fact that both robots share a name with a movie.
Yes. He
And
was on point during that turn. Like I liked his intros a lot during this.
yeah,
So,
it was some of the best material that I've ever heard, like
yeah.
totally. So in that match, Blade unfortunately just for that kind of split second got into a really bad position that allowed Bloodsport to pretty significantly damage them. And again, it was like over very fast, you know, like that. It was just that hit, and then Blade couldn't really do anything anymore after that.
Yeah, that hinged wedge on the back really did him in for this fight.
It took a lot of straight on the Bloodsport team at that point to be like, because of that, I'd be like, oh, I get a free hit. Where's the soft spot? And go. But
and then we'd probably be running, screaming the rest of the fight.
But to have to be like, oh, wait, hold, and be like, we're just gonna hope they count him out. I don't think I'd have the patience. I know I wouldn't have the patience.
Yeah, and it just kind of shows like different strategies or different perspectives from different drivers, because there's definitely like a list of drivers that I know wouldn't have been able to hold back in that situation, and there's others that, you know, would. It just depends on what you're looking to do. And I mean, I think it was probably smart, because you never know, like you never know if you hit him again and maybe they start up again, and like you don't want that to happen. So,
and where he potentially, like in the moment, he didn't know he was making it to us. In the moment, he was like, I could potentially have 2 more fights after this fight, and I am running out of spares. If I want to be able to make it to the gatekeeper match and then potentially beat the gatekeeper, I had better preserve whatever spares I have. So I thought it was a real smart strategy. I know that in the moment it would be a real coin toss if we would have been able to hold. I mean, obviously I have no choice. If Zach's not moving the robot, I can't go anywhere. But you know, we are kind of a coin toss. Sometimes we will go and get and like continue the match, and then sometimes we would, other situations we would hold back and see if the count out would start. But as soon as it's not starting, we would go back in. And anyway, so good job, Bloodsport. I thought he did a smart move, and I feel bad for Chongyu, because you could see it in his face when his robot stopped moving that he was disappointed in that outcome. But I was happy he at least had the Kraken fight to show off what Blade can do. So
yeah, absolutely. So then the next match, Blacksmith versus Switchback, you know, very similar, I would say, to the previous match against Deadlift, where you know, Al was once again extremely aggressive, put a huge gash in the back of Switchback when they were kind of pinned in the corner. And you know, it didn't take too long after that to get the knockout. But I mean, like I think, like, again, it's like if you're super aggressive and you just keep hammering and hammering and hammering, you know, you have a good chance at getting a good result there.
Yeah. No, this was a great showing for Blacksmith. I was really happy for Al. I was excited to see his power hammer do.
It's a hammer saw. Al
Branding.
just doesn't want to be compared to Sawblaze.
Yeah, I get that.
But yet the robots share similar colors.
No, I didn't come to look. This is a power hammer.
Yes.
Not a hammer saw.
Yes. So I enjoyed this fight. I thought Switchback did a good job. I thought Blacksmith did a great job. And I was happy. I would have been happy with either of those robots making it up. I was not gonna lie, no disrespect to Switchback, but Switchback would have been very problematic for us with that articulated drum being able to be positioned anywhere. That was one of the robots Zach and I, like, we were not divided on that robot. Neither of us wanted to fight that robot. And I love the team, I love the robot, but it would have been problematic for us. So I was happy to see Blacksmith go one more level up. But both teams did a great job. Yeah.
And that brings us to what was apparently the most controversial match of the night, which was Blacksmith versus Bloodsport. Bloodsport decided to go with this blade that they call the Ferris wheel, which, like, I just love that name. I think it's awesome.
Nick does a great job marketing those weapons and making those weapons. He is a great asset for that team, for sure.
I was told the Ferris wheel was specifically designed if they had to fight Shatter or any of the like pickaxe style robots.
Yeah.
That the blade spacing is paced just so their hammers would swing in and let the tip get stuck and then pull and rip the tips off. And that's why it's different from his what did he call his other disc weapon?
I can't remember. They have so many fun names.
The other disc weapon was made more for us and hammer saws. So that one was for Sawblaze and Skorpios. And I was wondering why he chose the Ferris wheel to fight Blacksmith with. But it was clearly the right choice.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting because, you know, clearly, like, Blacksmith also had a plan by having that huge front wedge, which I think definitely helped them and I think kept the match close because they were able to absorb so many of those shots that way. It was definitely, like, really great driving by Al. Like, despite the damage and things like that, he did a really great job, and Bloodsport was able to get a couple of those really big shots in. There was a lot towards the end, and I can almost guarantee that the stuff at the end was a factor because after having recently talked to the judges, you know, losing the weapon at the end, even though it was at the end, it was technically during the match, and that definitely played a factor in the decision.
It's the impression you're leaving on them, and it's literally the last thing they see before they put pencil to paper. So
unfortunately, finishing strong can really sway the judges.
Yeah. But it had to feel rough for them. I have definitely been there when I feel like I caused the rotator dismantling our arm from I beat myself up forever after that happened. I still beat myself up about that when that happened. So, like, when you see that kind of damage and you know there's a high chance that damage is what could have cost you the match. Like, I feel for them, but also, like, Bloodsport did a great job with this fight. So gotta give credit to both teams for putting on a great show for everybody. So, but definitely good job, Bloodsport.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it like brings up that good point of the argument where normally I would argue for being as aggressive as possible, but there is a risk in doing that you could damage your own robot in the process.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what ended up happening. Like, is there a need in that last like 10 seconds to have that last push after you've been pretty aggressive throughout the whole match and then potentially have damage like that happen? So it's really unfortunate because like Blacksmith did so well throughout every match, and then
Yeah.
I'm sure that didn't feel good for them, but I mean, nothing to take away from what they were able to do. So great job both teams, honestly.
I agree. That was a great fight, and honestly, like, I was really happy to have most of these fights in our bracket. I felt like our bracket was pretty well rounded and entertaining, and that was a great way to lead directly into the Skorpios fight after the excitement of the Bloodsport Blacksmith fight. So
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of that fight, I felt a little bit bad because I had every match in that bracket except yours, and the only reason that I had thought Bloodsport would win because of based off of what happened in the prior match that you had with them, and
yeah.
I was like, well, like there's a chance, but I know that obviously they won that last one. But I couldn't be happier that I was wrong about that. I think a big difference, honestly, was the configuration of the wedge. I think that really helped. It was a great design, great idea. And I think that match was a great example of a match where control and aggression can dictate the fight, even though you had, some pretty decent damage to your weapon and weren't able to really utilize it through a good portion of the match. But like, control and aggression are important. And if you really sustain that, then you can still win the match. And I mean, I think that's exactly what happened there.
Well, and what was key to this fight also, especially after seeing the scores underneath our interview a couple nights ago, we only won by 1 point. And so I think what really helped us were the hits we got on Bloodsport at the very beginning before the weapon got damaged.
And I know a lot of people are quoting back to our Witch Doctor fight, where Witch Doctor took out our weapon before we got any hits on her, which gave her a 5 in the damage category and a 0 for us, which that was another split decision, but it went in her favor. This time, because we got some opening assaults, we actually cut through and damaged Bloodsport. We didn't take out any functions. He took out some functions, but this at least put a 1. It was 1 to 4 instead of 0 to 5, and that made all the difference at the end of the match.
I gotta say, the other thing that really impressed me though was, like, obviously I was sad to have the weapon go down because I knew that was going to be a big factor for the judges. But I really loved that your driving got showcased, because I think ultimately, and I try to be as unbiased as possible, but I do feel like Zach flies kind of under the radar in terms of good drivers that keep getting called out on BattleBots. And yes, everybody that goes to BattleBots is a great driver. And there are some excellent drivers among all of the great drivers that are there. But what people may not realize is Zach is an 8-time gold medal winner at Robo Games and has all these skills that he has kept honed since we started Bot Bash, because he drives against like 15 plus people every weekend. And so he actually like is such an amazing driver, but I feel like so much of the time it gets lost behind trying to keep me in range to swing the weapon. So I was impressed with how you utilized the arena to help us maintain aggression and control.
Yeah, I'm amazed we got him up on the deck without a weapon.
I am too. I am too.
You see, all I can do is push, but that's all I need.
It was lucky it got stuck in the right position so that it kind of, let me place you up here. But, so.
Yeah. I also think getting him on the deck right in the few final seconds also helps sway the judges towards us.
Like you were talking about in the Blacksmith Bloodsport fight, those last few things that you are impressing upon the judges with can
swing it.
And I haven't spoken to any of the judges about like what made them go the direction they went, but I can only imagine getting them up on the deck like that had to have some sway, I would assume.
I'm sure it did. I didn't ask them about that specifically, but I think that they, I think they kind of felt similarly to the way that I did, is just like, you have to do a direct comparison to the Blacksmith Bloodsport match because they were both split decisions. Right. And, one went in Bloodsport's favor and one didn't. And when you look at the two matches, like that's what I saw is that, against you, it was really hard for them to do anything. They spent a lot of the match driving backwards away from you. Yeah. Whereas in the Blacksmith match, they were able to kind of move and do a little bit more of what they wanted to do. So, that was what I saw. And I think that was what they saw as well.
Yeah.
I was trying so hard in the first fight, the first time we fought, he managed to get a lot of space between us. And that is what really ended our robot. And so when we came into this one, I'm like, no quarter. I am going to be uncomfortable and all over you from start to finish. The second I had to let go, I was always like, okay, we're backing up only a few inches and immediately chasing.
Yeah.
Because I could see the spot in the first batch. I backed off 3 feet. And they just peel out and get away. and
that's a lot of time for them to spin up and get to full. So, and that's a dangerous thing when you're fighting a horizontal, when they're able to get up to full. So
it's just more damage you have to take.
Yep.
And eventually the frame fails.
Yep. We were running, so the frame we ran against Bloodsport in 2020 was a frame that we had run since season 4, and it had
all the season 4 damage on it
and the Remars 2019 damage on it. So
but we it never broke, so we were like, it's invincible. And it was not. Metal fatigue's a thing.
Yeah. So, and that, like, I was gobsmacked when I saw that hole. Like when that connection happened originally, I couldn't tell because of all the sparks what exactly happened until everything calmed down a little bit and I saw our robot splayed open. Nobody has ever gotten through our armor and into our frame before, and Zach was still moving the robot, and I had to scream at him that our robot was splayed open, because if we had gone in and taken another hit, it would have completely ripped the whole front of our robot off.
That might have ended the season.
And it definitely would have ended the robot. We wouldn't have been able to repair that frame. And our season 5 fight card, we needed all the frames we could get. But yeah, it also could have ended our season. So Bloodsport's no joke. And they hit us hard even still in this fight. We were just able to absorb the damage a little better than we were the first time.
And we didn't make this wedge specifically for him. We actually made it for Rotator because we assumed Rotator was going to win their bounty. And we assumed that long before we showed up or we saw any of the people in Rotator's bounty.
This was just from like how his previous matches. So it was...
And we were like, Rotator ripped our arm off. He did some of the most damage we've ever seen. We've both improved a lot and both become bounty bosses. And we're like, what's the chance there's a rematch after both of us?
It's been 3 years since our fight. It's probably about time for them to retest the outcome of this match.
So we made that wedge setup specifically to have armor up top to protect the hat, but still have the thick armor on the bottom. And when we found out we had to fight Bloodsport again, we're like, well, I guess the rotator configuration could also do this.
And it did.
And it did.
Kind of. The arm stayed on, so that's good.
It achieved its design goal.
It achieved its design goal.
That's so funny. And actually, I was going to ask, I mean, like that may be the answer to it, but of the episodes so far that were not your episodes, so the rotator bracket, the lockjaw bracket, and why can't I even remember what the first bracket was? Because Hypershock just like blew my mind.
Gigabyte, but yes.
Yes.
I had to take a minute too, but yes, Gigabyte.
Yes, Gigabyte. Yes. So of those 3 episodes, what was the most surprising thing to both of you of all of those 3?
Yeah. So we did not watch a whole lot of the champion matches, and it was because we were busy trying to prepare two robots for our bracket. So we knew that Deep Six Shatter happened. We just didn't watch it originally. So the night it aired was the first time we saw it. And
it was spectacular.
Our jaws were on the floor the entire time. Deep Six getting that hit, or like knocking Shatter in the air and then hitting them while they were in 360. So they did another 360. Like, I had never seen anything like that before, let alone with how large these robots are. And to know how large these robots are and to have seen that was just like, my brain broke because that was just so amazing. So we even rewound and watched it again.
And I don't think we've ever done that on a BattleBots fight.
No. Mainly because usually we watched it live, so we knew what to expect. But this was one we didn't, so we just like, wait, did we really see what we saw? Rewind. Yes, we really saw what we saw. So, yep, I think we're united on that one. That was the, like, don't get us wrong, the glitch hit on Rotator was amazing. No, like, I love the glitch team. I was not expecting that hit. Like, I have never seen that happen to Rotator before. So it was, again, a jaw-dropping moment, but the Deep Six Shatter just caught us completely off guard because we missed it live. So
yeah, it was pretty insane. But yeah, I mean, like, honestly, for me, I think so far with all of the champion stuff, this is some of the best BattleBots content that I've seen in some time. Just really entertaining stuff all the way around. I'm excited to see how it plays out. There's 2 more episodes to go, so we'll know soon. But yeah, no spoilers.
We don't do spoilers over here.
Push this giant bolt back under
the table. But yeah, I mean, it was a really exciting episode. Excited for both of you, and you get to be in this amazing field of 8 robots, and I have no idea what I think is going to happen. It could go a lot of ways, and I'm sure all of the fans are really excited to see it happen.
I hope so. It was a lot of fun to record, and the fights are amazing in the champions bracket and the Golden Bolt. I was honored to be a part of it, and so
it's gonna be good.
It's gonna be good. Don't miss it. We're excited to watch it again.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming back on the show. So happy to have you back. And excited to see things to come both in the tournament and for the next season. but yeah, it's, everyone that's watching, as please, give me feedback, do whatever you do to support the show, because I appreciate it. I want to keep this rolling and give everyone the content that they want to see, and interview the teams that they want to see. So thank you so much, and we will see you next time on the show.
Thank you for having us back. It was fun to talk to you again.